Good evening from Washington, D.C., and thank you to those of you joining us from around the world for news from a Catholic perspective. I'm Lauren Ashburn. In their first national meeting since the U.S. sex abuse crisis this summer, several Catholic bishops are urging their colleagues to take some sort of action. Proposals include a special commission made up of lay men and women to investigate complaints against bishops. But the church leaders won't be voting on these plans. Yesterday, the Holy See ordered them to delay their response until a Vatican meeting in February.
Bishops are vicars of Christ. We are not branch managers of the Vatican.
Bishop Thomas Paprocki says people are crying out for action and adds it would be, quote, a grave loss if the USCCB failed to take at least some action on abuse. His remarks drew applause from his fellow bishops. Joining me now from Baltimore is Bishop Thomas John Paprocki of the Diocese of Springfield in Illinois. Your Excellency, welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
You have been one of the voices within the church, as we just heard, leading the call for bishops to take responsibility for their roles in this crisis. This morning, you said it's time for action. What is that action?
Well, the action items that we are looking at this week, we're looking at standards of episcopal conduct, which are similar to the codes of conduct that we ask our priests and our staff members in our dioceses to sign. We are also looking at a special commission for episcopal misconduct, complaints against bishops that would be similar to the review boards that we have in our dioceses, that would be predominantly composed of lay people, and an independent channel for people to make their allegations, and then these would be brought forward to the Apostolic Nuncio, the Pope's representative in Washington, to take then to the Vatican for further action.
Is that something you could do right now, or has the Vatican stopped that?
Well, the Vatican asked us not to take a formal vote on this, and I suggested this morning on the floor of our General Assembly that perhaps there's a misunderstanding of what we're trying to do. And canon law, Canon 455, does talk about for particular legislation, like a general decree, that you need a 2/3 vote and the recognitio, the approval of the Holy See. We're not proposing anything that's binding legislation. We are, first of all, in terms of the standards of episcopal conduct, that is basically a pledge that bishops are making. We're pledging ourselves to hold ourselves to these standards, so it's not something that everybody would necessarily be required to do, but something that we're asking everyone to do. And with the special commission, again, that would be a recommendation. We're not establishing this as part of the USCCB. We're recommending that this be something that would be established, hopefully with the approval of the Holy See. So we understand that there will be this meeting in February that the Holy Father has called the presidents of Episcopal conferences. And so we're viewing our meeting today as giving some very clear direction to our president, Cardinal Daniel DiNardo, that he can take with him to that meeting in February.
The media is being highly critical of this delay, and today the Washington Post published a scathing editorial in which it said, quote, again and again, the Vatican pays lip service to the suffering of victims. Again and again, it undercuts its own assertions of contrition. The media often set the tone in this country. Are you concerned about how this delay in action is going to impact the way the lay faithful view U.S. bishops?
Well, I'm concerned about the way not only that they view the U.S. bishops, but also the way they view the Holy See and the Holy Father. Our people here are rightfully upset and angry about what's been happening. They're demanding that we take some action. We have proposals to take some action here this week in Baltimore, and I think it's very important that we do so and that we send that message to the Vatican that they really need to act on this clearly and decisively as soon as possible.
Bishop Thomas John Paprocki of the Diocese of Springfield in Illinois, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.